All right, this is Roxana Bangura of the Roxana Bangura channel and the Bangura Chronicles on Patreon and Facebook. I share with you our life, my daughter and Amaris, with you our life here in Mexico. Today I have a special treat. I have attorney and relocation specialist Ana Siller, as well as author, writer, and all-around community woman, Yaya Parada. I'm gonna let Ana in now. Hola, ¿cómo estamos? Amiga, ¿cómo estamos? ¿Cómo estamos? ¿Cómo estamos, amiga?
Hello.
¿Cómo estamos? How are you?
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Listo.
Okay, ¿cómo estamos?
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Bien, gracias. Bien, gracias.
Where's your friend?
How's Joaquin? Oh, my daughter is eating and watching TV. Where's Joaquinito?
He's playing in his bedroom, but we just made a cooking video. He made like sopa de albóndigas.
Albondingas. That's meatballs
Yeah.
for non-Spanish speakers.
Yeah.
Is it albóndigas con carne, res, or con qué?
Yeah. We made it with ground beef and zucchini, potato, tomato, rice.
Ooh.
And then topped it off at the end with some cheese and some avocado.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds delicious.
So it's like motivational for him to do it like in a video. It's fun. And then it also helps. Yeah. It also helps me with the whole, like, he's not that picky about what he eats since he started cooking himself, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he was particular. He had I don't know if he was picky or I just think, the time I was with him, some people just don't eat that much. I love food, so I eat it in large quantities, and so does my daughter.
Yeah.
But, I have friends and, family, they're just not in food. They eat to kind of sustain themselves, to stay alive, but they're just not, food is just not their thing. I thought he was like that, but I guess he's developed his palate.
Yeah, we've worked a lot on that by, like going shopping, and just having him prepare the food makes it like a lot more exciting. So, he's more about, chopping some cold veggies, some cucumbers, some jicama, whatnot for a snack, instead of asking, oh, can I go to the store and get some chips or that.
Very good. Very good. Good lifestyle, more sustainable and healthier for him. Well, we're waiting for Yaya. I did a little introduction. We're taping this, so this is going to be on the YouTube channel. If you would like to take the floor and talk about yourself, give your little elevator spiel.
Yeah, well, I am just graduating law school right now, so it is the whole COVID thing did. Yeah, the whole COVID thing did slow me down a little bit in my process of getting my credential, which in Mexico, every doctor or professional needs to have a credential, which is called a cédula. So whenever you go to a lawyer or a doctor, you can always just type in their name online and check if they have this professional ID number. So, I'm waiting for the last formalities, but technically I am done. And I am certainly, have learned a lot working as a translator, as a legal translator. So I'm, well-versed in the world of law and understand everything. So that's what I do. One of the
things that she does is, well, she does many different things, but tell them what you do in terms of the law and dealing with expats or immigrants, migrants.
Right. Well, I started off, doing concierge and tours because I live in Chapala, which is one of the main expat populated places in Mexico. So I just started doing like tours, and then I would help people by going to the doctor with them or to the government offices wherever they needed a translator. And just little by little, I started working towards my official credential as a legal translator. So I do written translation of documents, and I'm also an interpreter, which is spoken translation. So I also go to court with people and I act as their interpreter in court and in the police office, immigration, and basically anything anybody could need. And as a lawyer, I'm going to offer also immigration services, consultancy when you want to buy a house, how you should have your will, your medical directives. If you want to start a business in Mexico, what you should know about your requirements as an expat starting a business in Mexico. So that is going to be my target niche, is going to be like people that are immigrating into Mexico and need preventative services from the beginning to the end.
Do you see? She's like a one-stop shop. She has relocation services, then she drills it down to immigration services, healthcare, medical services, preventative services, educational services. Anna can basically hold your hand from when you are in the United States until you realize moving to Mexico. She's a one-stop shop, and she lives in Lake Chapala. Lake Chapala is located in the state of Jalisco. So Jalisco sits on the west coast of the country. Would you say it's central or more north? Where would you say Jalisco is? It's more central?
It's like west central.
West Central, and Lake Chapala is a gorgeous place. It's more interior. It's a couple of hours away from the coast, the Pacific coast, but it's a gorgeous place. But it's a place where there are a lot of expats. I had the privilege of spending time with Anna and her son Joaquin, and I thought I was in Florida. There were just so many people in the United States. Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah.
In fact, it was almost strange to hear Spanish. That is how infiltrated it is with Americans and Canadians or other English speakers. It wouldn't be a place for us to really develop our language well, our Spanish language well, because we wouldn't use it as much. We would rely on English. She talked about immigration and migration, and I'm going to share some thoughts on that in another video. What have you seen? I don't know where Yaya is. What have you seen in regards to these, since like March up until now? What are you seeing? What trends are you seeing in the immigrant expat groups that you belong to on Facebook in terms of Americans, Canadians, and Mexico? What are you seeing now? What trends?
Well, I did definitely start to notice the trend during the last election. That after the election, many people moved here, and there was definitely a very high demand for rentals. Prices also increased a lot. There was also a big difference in the currency exchange. So it's like you were getting a lot more pesos for your dollars. So people, were finding it cheaper to live here. That did cause quite a bit of gentrification in the community, where people who were local artisans or local musicians and were finding it hard to find a rental that was reasonably priced in pesos. Usually here in this area, everything is priced in dollars. Definitely since March to now, with the COVID crisis and the other political issues going on in the US, the surge can be noticed again. And there's a ton of people just writing in saying, I want to move to Mexico. What do I need to know? And just kind of give it to me from the beginning. So I do think that there are a lot more people. And, it used to be a retiree community, but now we definitely have a lot more families, expat families, which is very different than what was normal before. So we have a big community. In terms of, like, for example, the Spanish, I think, in the families that I've met, families who are really committed to the Spanish, they will usually put the kids in a Spanish, language school besides their regular Spanish education, which in most private schools in Mexico does tend to be half day Spanish, half day English. So they'll do the normal school, and then they'll also put the kids in some kind of language program, plus the extracurricular activities that tend to be, just for Mexican kids, like soccer or taekwondo, or, so there are a lot of opportunities for immersion. And this is a place with mountains, lake, trees. So we also spend a lot of time outdoors with other children, and there is a lot of space still for, foreign children to integrate with the local children, which is not so much the case with the adults, when it's like a lot older adults coming here, not learning Spanish, which, is difficult to learn Spanish. I don't particularly hold that against people, but when you're a kid, you get it. So I think kids are having an immersive experience in Chapala, and there's going to be more and more families that are going to come here because of the weather, because of the affordability, and just the fact that there's a lot less unrest for children, like regarding school shootings or racial issues and everything that you see in the media and stuff. It's just not a part of a child's life here. It's not something that they hear about, and they're very open to run wild out in
Let me
nature.
ask you, you mentioned something that interested me. Here in Veracruz, or let me say my pueblo, my adopted pueblo, we have our schools, we have the bilingual programs, but what I've experienced, it's really just Spanish all day with a little bit of English sprinkled in. Is that not the case where you are?
We have this advantage of having like a pool of people to choose from. So because there's so many expats here, some expats are younger, or some retired expats work in the school. So something that I've noticed about the bilingual schools here is for, the Mexican kids that are really trying to learn English, they're probably going to get a US or an English speaking teacher.
That makes a big difference, the expats.
Yeah. But I did work as an English teacher for a long time in schools, and I totally understand what you mean. Usually the English teachers, they're at a lower pay grade and stuff. So it's like, if you're a Mexican and you speak English, you're not going to settle for a job, where you can move on and make more money, like as an official translator or teaching corporate, English and stuff like that. So.
Okay, that's the key. You're in an area where there are just a lot of foreigners, and these foreigners have to speak English. So there's a demand for it in business and socials, areas, social spaces. So obviously the level of English will be higher, because I'm in a pueblo. It's I don't think, as far as I know, I've met there's like two of us. There's like three of us that are from the United States that I know. I'm sure there's more, but we're just not around like that. Okay, so you're talking about the schooling, and one of the things I wanted us to touch on today was, I think when we first started speaking, 2007, 2018, I remember that we would talk about homeschooling, and I always got the impression that homeschooling wasn't something that was really done, at least in this area of Mexico and Veracruz, maybe in other areas where there are more Americans and Canadians, but that homeschooling wasn't as, I guess, accepted or practiced by Mexicans. So this is like a 2-3 year ago conversation, So what are you seeing now in terms of homeschooling with this COVID situation? Obviously, we've all had to homeschool, but for me, prior to COVID, I made the decision that we were transitioning to homeschooling because Amaris is in junior high, and I thought that it was important to really have a handle on what she was learning, her curriculum. What do you see now as, parents, Mexican parents in particular, or people who are coming in? What do you see now in the homeschooling space in your area? Oh, your microphone is off.
Is it?
Yeah, now I hear you.
Is it? Okay. Well, for me, I had an aunt who homeschooled my cousins when I was a child. So I did have like the example of somebody who had done homeschooling and who had accredited, because my cousins ended up doing like the prepa abierta and the open school where basically it's like a GED. You just go take the test and you get accredited. So I did have like a knowledge and a sense of it, and but it wasn't like my plan at that point, like you mentioned in 2017, to do it. But life happened and we ended up doing it, and now we've been doing it for a couple years, and now that everybody's like, I have in particular like a friend her kid has eyesight issues. Like he's already got really thick glasses and stuff. And she really wanted to do homeschool because she doesn't want her son to be on the computer. Like she wants to do it herself. You know what I mean? Which is like a big difference from what COVID homeschooling to what like we do. We don't really follow a set curriculum. We don't have classes, and we definitely don't spend as much time viewing the computer as many of the people who have had to do school at home. That's a very different situation than what homeschooling really is.
Okay.
So for me, like when people are like, oh, I want to homeschool, it's like the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to detox from this computer life. We're going to unschool. We need to give kids like a break and kind of take all that away and develop a whole new way to do it. So
what we're seeing now is, because we're still tied to this computer, and I guess I'm still having this structured day for Amaris, and it's an ongoing process, because it's literally, we've been doing it with the school, and now that we're not with the school, we're doing it on our own. And we have to use a computer insofar as her teachers, that I have for her, because I'm not the only one teaching her. I have her math teacher, I have her math teacher who's a Mexican woman, and then I have her linguist who's a Mexican man, and then her American English teacher, the boundless classroom. So, the computer is the device in which she's going to interact with them. But, everything is an opportunity to learn. I mean, we've been doing that since we've given birth to these children. So I'm like, okay, someone just gave me an idea, Keandra Bell with Boundless Classroom, about figuring out how to have Zoom integrated with YouTube. And I'm just like, oh, that's like a whole thing. And I get anxious behind this technical stuff. Like it does, and I know I need to do things, and I know I need to up my technical skills, but it causes me stress. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I'm really big on delegating. Like, you do it. Like Amaris' math teacher, I'm like, I'm not teaching her math because I don't like math. And so I don't want to sit up here with her and do math. So I've delegated someone to do that. So now I'm going to have, Amaris, you need to figure out how Zoom and YouTube, how does that work together? Because when I was on the YouTube, there's a button that you can go live, and I'm going to play with it next. I'm going to see if I can go live next, by myself. Yeah. If it messes up or whatever, I would have someone else. But my point is, things are coming up, and I'm trying to be, I don't want to say, I guess, free-flowing. I think that's a part of the unschooling. Pero my worry is, of course, we're all about capturing Spanish, and as much we want to capture as much and absorb as much Spanish as we can. And my only worry is the socialization. How will my child be able to socialize with other Spanish speakers? Because these children have taught her so much in these 2 years. I mean, she knows much more. She knows more about things that are intangible. Does that make sense? She knows more because she speaks the language, so she has that intimacy. She speaks the language more fluently than I do. So she knows about things that are more intangible than I do. My daughter will say, Mommy, no, we don't do that. And because she's taken on the identity of a local. She'll be like, no, that's not what we do. We don't do that here. Mexicans don't do that. And she can say that because she spent time with children, and children, teach each other. I don't have those qualifiers. And this is my worry with the homeschooling. You know, I'm not going to stop or change. And I know there are other opportunities for socializing, but when is that going to happen in this COVID? I don't know. Because, you know, my daughter's a singer, she's a dancer. When are we going to be free to just go? I don't think there's going to be an instance where we can go back to what the normal was prior to COVID. I mean, is she going to have a bubble wrap over her when she enters a dance class? Like, how does this, you know, how do you navigate all of these things, I guess is my question. And I would be curious to know what are you doing, because her son is a taekwondo champion. He's been practicing taekwondo for many years. How is he in his sport right now with this situation?
Yeah, well, I just want to clarify. We have done homeschooling from 5 years old to 8, almost 9 years old now. Amaris is already going into secundaria, right? So, you know, she's a teen, and like if my son was a teen and he was homeschooling, he would definitely be doing, you know, how you're doing, would have his own math teacher and stuff, because I'm not going to do calculus. He's really into engineering, so I expect that his math is going to be way beyond, you know, my capacity, you know, soon. So I would definitely get a tutor to do that. And, you know, the things that I can do, I do. Obviously, in homeschool, we invent other, you know, ways of learning. Like I was saying, the cooking,
you know, we take that as, you know, a life skill. We do math in there. We use his knowledge of the martial arts. I'm like, you have to make one swift, strong movement, you know, when you're coming from the stove to the plate, you know, you can't be, so it's like in Taekwondo, man, like, clean, come on, let's do it. So it's like you find activities that integrate, you know, those kinds of things. Like during this pandemic, we really got into painting with watercolors, and I invested, you know, money in getting a loom, and just like things that
you have a loom.
We got a loom.
Oh my goodness.
Stuff, and you know, so it's your thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just make up, like, you don't try to mimic what you do at regular school. Hi.
Can you hear us, Yaya?
Her mic's not on.
We can't hear you, Yaya. Okay, she's going to fix it.
Yeah, and as far as Taekwondo, they did reopen already.
Okay.
I had to make the difficult choice, like, to not take him. And it was a very difficult choice because we're, you know, at the blue belt level, and we're almost, you know, at the end, or, you know, this big goal of the black belt that we've had all these years. So it was I had to deal with a lot of grief, you know, all the money I've put into that all the time. And to just say, no, you know, it's not an essential activity. It's very dangerous. You know, I don't want anything to happen at the school, but I'm not going to risk it because, you know, I can't live without my child and my child cannot live without me. So, you know, we did have to put it on hold, but our professor is, you know, sending us videos on how to train, and then we send the videos back to him. And we also put up a boxing bag in my house.
Oh, well, that's good. So you've adjusted. How does he feel? How does he feel about that?
I mean, yeah, it's like something that we have to do together. Like if I don't do it, then he's not gonna do it. So that's, you know, great for me that I have to do it with him. But so here's like our bag.
Okay, so that is so cool. I need that. I would definitely do damage on that. Yaya, can you hear us now, Yaya? You can hear us, but we can't hear you. No? Can you hear us? Yaya? Can you hear us, Yaya? Wave your hand, Yaya, if you can hear us. Wave your hand. Wave your hand, Yaya, if you can hear us. It's like, it's freezing, right? No say. Okay, well, I would love to have that punching bag. You know, I spoke to my landlord and I was like, there's an area up.
Okay, I think, sorry ladies, I think
okay,
I'm like going through it. Oh my gosh, I hate technology. Oh,
Nothing else. Thank God you're here. Okay, good.
sorry. I just had a major fight with technology for
Oh,
like 20 minutes.
it's like a necessary evil. Let me do stuff, but this is what we have to do. Listen,
I'm not sure what happened. I use Zoom like all the time for school, and all of a sudden I'm like, why isn't this working? I'm gonna have to use sign language for this whole thing.
you see my background? I didn't do
Yeah.
that. I didn't do that. Like, I don't even know why that's there. It's been like that. I had an interview earlier today, and this is what was on there, and I'm like, what is that? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool. I wouldn't necessarily chosen San Francisco. I would have chosen New York, but I don't know where that came from on the Zoom, because I didn't do that.
That's yeah.
I don't know. Well,
Hilarious.
me and Anna were having a good conversation about migration, immigration trends, and we delved off into homeschooling and her son and the things that he's doing. Yaya, welcome everyone. This is Yaya. She's a writer, she's a community woman, she's an activist, she's a nurse, she's a mama, all around Wonder Woman. Please introduce yourself, please. You have the floor.
Well, I'm Yaya Parada, and I'm here in Mexico. I am normally residing in Canada. We have done the whole up and load, move and travel to give our children more of a learning experience with unschooling instead of being in traditional schooling. And that's basic. I'm just a hot mess. Literally, I have a blog that's dedicated to hot mess, guru travel, anything that's disastrous that could happen.
What is the name of the blog?
It's Bangura.com. So it's THEGURA. Yeah, because people spell it WERA.
I'm gonna put all the links to Anna's businesses as well as Yaya's businesses in the comments. Okay, Anna has to mention SEER translations and everything. Okay, well, you know what? I always talk about your organizational skills. So in terms of managing your household, being a domestic diva, okay?
Madhouse.
I really admire that, and I'm not even worthy. Like, I'm trying to get a vision board on the wall for us to kind of see what we need to do. I have a calendar that I use, but I want something visual. I'm more of a visual learner, a visual person. I have things
exactly.
It causes me stress if things are all in my head. I have to write it down. So my question is, hi, is that the baby?
Oh yeah, he was running outside, away upstairs. Sorry.
So cute. Can you show us what you do in terms of your organization, how you run the household with the girls?
Well, say hi. Can you say hi?
Hi. Hi, DJ.
Hi.
Hi, sweet.
Can you say how are you? How are you?
No.
He's just.
Is he more English, more Spanish, French?
Yeah.
He's got sign language down. He has LSM. So ASL is in the works. It's really, really slow. English and Spanish are virtually, he can just turn and switch from one to the other. Transitions is not an issue.
Okay.
The other languages, I don't know if they're going to get there. If they do, that's great. And I think if they don't happen, that's even okay. As long as he understands and can communicate, which is a key element to the development, because I find a lot of parents struggle trying to find their children to communicate, because that's why they don't struggle in learning anything around here. No, don't do that. Sorry.
Okay,
it's my day off, and this is like, it's nuts here.
No, I tell you, life happens. She has a toddler, Anna. How old is he now? He's almost 3, right? Is he 3?
No, he just turned 2. He just turned 2.
He's so big. He looks like he's 3. What you feeding him?
It's what he doesn't eat.
He looks.
Yeah,
That's how I like my kids. I mean, my daughter was big. I like big, rice and fufu and corn. Starch.
Oh yeah, no. His fufu. He loves his fufu. This child, anything that will fill her.
Corn
He's happy with it.
and rice.
Yeah. Well, in regards to getting ourselves organized here and setting goals and achieving them, I'm very much a visual organizer, and I like to be able to literally see where I'm moving. as it really helps maintain and keep track of where we're going, because, well, children like that too. Goal setting for them is really, really important. So we create calendars in a different set and form. This is our visual brainstorming cloud board. These are, I'm gonna have to lay this down. It just won't stay with me.
Okay.
These are movable. So if you have something to do in that time frame,
okay,
it's not written in stone. And this is something that I don't like children using pen in the house for that one reason, because they become very fixated on that, and it's really stressful. So these are movable. The times they're not movable, those things are, you have to stick to those commitments. So for say, I have to meditate in the morning, and I don't have anything on it because I don't do much there. But let's say, am I wearing pants because I have to work? Normally down here, it's also read a book or do a different activity. And this is to teach them that there is flexibility, but we have to stick to our responsibilities. So while we're moving things around, it means that we will achieve that in any order day, but it needs to be achieved. So sticking to that commitment is really important. For the smaller humans around here, we have a different type of chart. So this chart, throughout the week, we set themes. And the themes go here, and this helps them know what is coming ahead without us having to rush to say, oh my gosh, what are we going to teach tomorrow, or what are we doing, or what's going on. So Mondays, these blocks, they are able to help organize these. And these are also movable. So let's say for some crazy reason something happened Monday and we can't work on social studies, we can move Thursday here. Maybe Thursday was class and art, and we will fill that void, but we will get it done this day. This gives them that opportunity to organize themselves and, again, stick to commitments. These are more
I love this
course.
This is such a great motivation. You need to help me. I need to do this myself, because I try to be very goal oriented for the day, because we're at home. We're not getting out of the house, getting dressed and leaving. We're home. So, I don't want it to be 6 o'clock and like, what have I done today? What have I done? And it disappoints me when I have something, because everything is on my phone, but I need to transfer it to an actual physical, like a vision board. Well, a vision board is a different thing, like an organizational chart, which is like what you have. You have like a flow chart, a physical flow chart that shows, okay, in this space of time, we may or may not be doing X, but there's something like productive, I guess.
Exactly. It's my child said anyway.
Something,
productive.
Productive.
It's
productive. And I don't have that. Like me and Amaris, we don't have that. And I know she needs it because, she's a tween, a lot of attitude, hormones, and everything. It's almost as though she's at the age of 2, insofar as you tell her 1, she has to tell you 2. It's like, I don't need for you to, and I don't like, I don't tolerate her talking back to me. Just do it. I don't need a commentary. So we're butting heads in that.
Yeah.
We're butting heads with that. Hey, do this. Oh, why do you have to have an opinion? She's very opinionated, like her mama, So why you gotta have an opinion?
Yeah.
But I need something like that to show, to do. Like, okay, for instance, she has her math tutor that comes, and she works with her for about an hour and a half, depending on what they're working on. And again, this is, our break, but not really. Like, I want to get going. Like, I want to get 7th grade. Let's move forward. And she's like, well, I did math today. I'm like, okay, we still got 12 hours left of the day. What are you going to do? You're not going to Netflix it away. What else are we doing here? To keep our time constructive. So I've been going online.
Exactly.
You see the Black Girl Code that I put in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
I really need for her to have a bit of structure to her day. Because if it was left up to her, she thinks she'll play with the dog and Netflix,
and that's a key fundamental to teaching at home or schooling at home is structure, which a lot of the traditional schools don't have. And I find that it doesn't matter where we have been, whether it's been in Canada or it's been in the UK or Mexico, wherever it's been at, it's one of the reasons that we are currently doing the whole home program is because of that, to give that structure, and because we are able to meet our children's academic needs so that we know what they need. Instead of having a ratio of 1 to 60, where they're still not filling their time, we are able to build in that production line for them to keep going and keep producing results that are beneficial to them in the long run. Because, when they're going to college, because I have ones that are getting almost ready to go there, that on their resume is great. It is less stressful than struggling through the school and trying to, hey, I need to fill this in, or you build their resume. You are building their academic resume, which is like, I think it's one of the most wonderful parts of being able to be at home with them, literally.
You mentioned structure, and prior to you coming in, Anna and I were talking. Now, Anna, her child is 8, and she's been homeschooling, world schooling, unschooling him for, I guess, going on 8 years. And she said to me, you know what? We're pulling away at the, we're trying to pull away from this machine, these computers. She says, however, your daughter is a bit older, and I understand that you need structure for her. Like, for instance, if, she mentioned calculus, okay, your children are a little bit old, your big girl is a little bit older, and so it's necessary to have a little bit of structure, maybe something more defined because of they're older. Now, Anna lives in Lake Chapala area in Jalisco, very big immigrant expat area, lots of Canadians.
Oh, I love Jalisco.
Yeah, Jalisco is like, oh, that's right, Jalisco is your place. Yeah, Jalisco is your place. Me too. It's definitely my favorite. It's definitely probably my favorite place that I've been to in the Republic. So. Huh? Oh, that's right. So you mentioned your Yaya's children attended school. Yaya's in Mexico City. Okay, so she's in the capital city. What are you seeing? Are you noticing a trend where more parents are deciding to stay as homeschoolers? What are you seeing with parents in your neighborhood in terms of educating their children? Obviously, we all had to homeschool because of COVID. But do you think more of them are going to decide to keep that going?
Oh, you're asking me, yeah.
Yeah, in your area, because you're in Mexico City. So where Ana is, there's a lot of immigrants and expats. Where you are, I would imagine there are not many immigrants and expats from the United States and Canada. Is that correct?
You'd actually be amazed. Here in this side of the city, there are a large amount of expats and immigrants. In Iztacalco, Pantinan, or it's called Pantinan, towards less suburban areas, the urban areas are actually full of North American families and more Central American families. But what I'm finding is that many are not pulling towards continuing the home education or the homeschooling program, mostly because we see that they don't have the tools, the resources, and that is key to it. And this all comes from really the mindset that we have, because a lot of people believe, not just here, in general around the world, that teachers are responsible for the academic education of the children. So you're literally sent them to school and you're expecting that, and people are frustrated. When COVID hit towards the end of February, when we started to see the change that people were stressing and whatnot, parents were panicking. So we took on a group of 43 children to help school them through Zoom or whatever online platform that we have, which became a really big struggle because you see that parents don't really want to participate. And to homeschool, I explained to many, you have to participate. There is no way that you can avoid a teacher meeting, because you have to have a meeting with yourself first, and then you have to have a meeting with your family. And so, no, parents here are not supportive of that. They find that very, very ridiculous. And this is coming from a few families from the States and Canada. They told me, they resonated to school, and as school school deal with it.
So they're not supportive of homeschooling. That's just not what they're about in your area, in your neighborhood, in your region. So that's in the and that's the capital. Yaya lives in the capital. So that's interesting. Let me get back to Ana. Ana, would you say that the immigrants that you're seeing, or people wanting to come to Mexico, those of Americans and Canadians who are wanting to move here, would you say that you think some of them are going to homeschool, or it's a mixed bag?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, but I think that for most people, and it's probably the same situation in the United States as it is here, like there's a lot of people who have to go back to work and they just don't have like the availability to homeschool, you know? So like something that allowed me to homeschool is I had already, you know, set up a life where I was working remotely for a long time, and I go to school online. So, you know, my life was already set up so that I can homeschool, but I'm not so sure that if I had an office job, you know, and I would have to go back right now, that I would advocate for homeschooling like at all. You know, I'd be like, no, I need to drop my kids off and pay my tuition and I don't care, you know. But the actual process of becoming an unschooler is a very long process, because you have to adapt your work, your family, your mindset. You know, when we start, we're thinking about, well, how am I gonna, you know, certify the year, and how am I gonna make sure that my kid can go to school if they want to? And those are the things that we worry about. And then when you're in, you know, have been unschooling for years, then you're like, you know, those just aren't issues anymore, because you've worked your life kind of around that. You know, like for me, taking my kid to school would be inconvenient, you know, because I'm not about to put on pants and go to school and then go pick him up. Like, that's not what we do. You know, we get up at 10, we do a little bit of schoolwork, then we cook, then we do sports. And for me, that's school. Like, it doesn't matter for me. You know, when I see that something's not okay with his reading or with his writing, or he's at, you know, we're getting gas and he's like, what's an octane and what's this? And like, okay, now we're going to make a project about what's an octane and where do you get, you know, like that's our curriculum. Our kids tell us what they want to learn, you know, and we just go all out on that. And it's like, just YouTube it, write me a report, make me a drawing, whatever, you know, but we don't follow like, oh, you know, this is what he needs to know. So for a family that would want to come, like Yaya said, you know, first they need to make inventory within themselves and see like, well, how much am I willing to give up and to invest, and how far am I willing to go? Because this is like not a joke, you know, like once you're in it, like you're in it, you know, and there's no, you know, you can be offered like your dream job and then you have to think like, well, what am I going to do with my kid? You know, like that's, especially if you have more than one kid that you're homeschooling. Those are very difficult decisions, but you know, for me, I would not school, you know, Joaquin. Like if I got a job offer, I wouldn't.
Let me ask you, because there are a lot of businesses in the States, larger companies that are going to remain offline. They're going to remain remote. A lot of companies are switching to remote. And I know that's, you know, the trend in the States. Do we see that also happening here in Mexico? Do we see larger companies? Obviously, not everyone is going to do it, but have you all seen a trend where companies are deciding to remain remote, and maybe in that way, parents might want to or be able to homeschool?
I don't think I've seen that's going to happen. I mean, I think we're pretty much just like opening up and everybody's going back to work now. Okay. And, you know, we are like in the summer anyway, so it's like kids are on vacation now. But I don't think that it's probably not going to, like that. I think school's going to reopen in the fall and everyone's going to go back to work and we're just all going to go out, you know, whoever wants to go out. And it's a very difficult decision, you know, like, am I going to stay in? Am I going to go out? I don't know. Like, how long do I have to stay inside? But I don't think, and because like I said, it's not just about like having the time, like you really do need to have the disposition, the knowledge. You know, you have to be proactive, like Yaya, making her, you know, boards and everything. You have to be self-motivated. Like if you're the type of person that you need to be told how it goes from A to Z, then you're going to probably end up paying a program, and it's not really going to be like the true essence of homeschooling, which is like bringing kids into our lives and learning practically. You know, that's not, to me, you know, what homeschooling should be, you know.
Okay.
Just doing a curriculum in your house, you know.
Okay.
It takes way more dedication and commitment than that.
Okay, that's true. That's true. What would you say about that, Yaya?
I completely agree with Anna in the aspect that it is a great investment and commitment. If you don't have the time for it and you don't have the knowledge or the power behind that, and you just think, well, I'm going to homeschool my child because financially it's going to be convenient, that is one of the worst reasons to homeschool your child, because right there, it's not going to fall through anything. It's just all going to fall apart. It requires time, and especially if you have a job and you're like, well, because I don't want, and I've seen this happen with certain parents, that I don't want my child in daycare, so I'm going to homeschool them because of the cost. It's going to offset the cost. It's more expensive to homeschool than to send them to traditional school. Because you have to pay for material. In my case, since I have to homeschool 5 children, and it's a great investment, and it's a great amount of time. So we run it as a career life. They have careers throughout the month. This is how it works. They have jobs, and we teach them that the importance of going to school, because like for the one who's in grade 2, her job right now, she is a waiter, compared to the one who is in 8th grade. She's actually a receptionist. So they're seeing the differences of how much you make, depending how far you get in school. But parents don't have, who want to just take their kids out of school and homeschool them because of cost, offsetting costs. They don't see this. They just see, well, I'm going to save money. And like Anna said, it takes commitment, it takes patience, and a lot of perseverance. The first 2 years are horrible. I'm not going to lie. It's horrible. You're trying to juggle. You're trying to figure out where things go, how things go, how are you going to make it neat. But the neat thing about it is that you create their curriculum, and you are there. You're there to offer what their needs are. You're there to furnish that. And that is the key thing. It's something that I really love that Anna said is, well, you know what? If that doesn't work, then let's do something creative. And that's the thing. So giving them that support, that what they need, because in a school setting, honestly, if things don't work out, well, that's fine. And just go ahead and keep going. We're in areas we work towards helping them accomplish and achieve themselves and feel proud of what they're doing, that they feel more accomplished. It's a really important factor. I don't see it in the traditional school settings. A lot of children struggle. And this is why I believe that there's a large dropout ratio of that. There is no support. All the kids are.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I've seen it here. With you see when the children's disengaged. And I'll tell you something, the teaching styles in the 2 schools, you know, we've been in here, it was just kind of a lot of drilling, basically just writing on the board and having the children copy. There was really no interaction. There was no critical thinking. It was just copy this down. And, you know, to the point where, you know, daily my child would complain how her hands would hurt. And I said, well, does your teacher get up and walk through the classroom? No. I said, well, you have a question? She goes, no, we have to get up and walk to her desk. I said, so she doesn't ask you questions? She doesn't interact with you? And, you know, these were 2 schools here. And my daughter was like, no. And I said, you know, this is why, you know, you're having behaviors in the classroom. This is why children disengage. And again, these are just the 2 schools that we went through here. And, you know, I wasn't happy about the situation, but, you know, my thing is, you know what, we're here for the Spanish. So you know what, you're always going to be learning because you're getting something in another language that's not your own. So it's beneficial to you. I just feel sorry for these other children, because, you know, there's nothing stimulating them. I mean, every day it would just be notes and more notes and more notes. The teacher would be on her phone with her children, with her it was just ridiculous. Again, that's just the 2 schools here. And so I understand when, you know, she tells me, hey, this person is not paying attention, there's a lot of behaviors in the classroom, because it's the teachers weren't teaching. They were just there.
Meaningful learning, and that's the thing that they miss out on, that communication key of meaningful learning. They, instead of just teaching just to teach, you know, because all they're doing is wanting to achieve those numbers. So for homeschooling, we avoid teaching to test. We're not teaching them to test. We're educating them. We're formatting them. We're forming them. And in that sense, you don't see that in the school. You just see that we need numbers, and you gotta do all this and give me all this, which is a great gauge. Like you say, that's why many disengage. And I've seen that. I have unfortunately lived that, and it's really, it's saddening. It's really heartbreaking, because you, as an educator, I believe that what I'm transmitting, and I want them to really intake that and flourish with that. And I see that just teaching is just, here, have some information, and see what you do with it, which is literally what's happening in a lot of public school settings and private as well. Like, it's just general overall. It's really saddening.
The schools in your area, the schools that your children went to, what is the what is the class size?
Well, it really depends. Normally, for the ones that are from 4th year to 1st, sadly, it is it's a 1 to 40 ratio. For the ones that are 5 and over, I got really lucky. It was 1 to 20 ratio.
That's lucky.
You know, that's it. We scored. We scored with that one group. Normally, they have been in a 1 to 60 ratio. And that, no, I said no. That's like having a whole bunch of rodents running wild. That I couldn't explain it any worse. It was horrible. It was horrible.
Just, keeping bodies warm. I mean, that's just it's not that's not even conducive for adults to learn. Here, I think Amaris's class is here, and we're in a pueblo, so I can't compare it to where you guys are, but the public school, which was her first school here, maybe 20 plus students. And then, you know, I had a tutor for her because, you know, she's learning the language. Math, she got lost in math this past year, and now with her tutor, really grasping things, you know, and that's just what my child needed. And we weren't receiving this service at the school. No matter how many times I talked to the teacher about it, and it just wasn't being addressed. I finally brought it to the director's attention after about 4 months. It was ongoing with him. And I was told that he had never taught a foreigner before. And at that point, I was just really done. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, that's stupid, you know? So it was disappointing, and he didn't really make an impact. And I said, you know, my child needs help with this, you know? Fortunately, she's doing well in math. Let me ask you, Ana, do you have a lot of public schools in your Chapala area?
Yes, we have actually good public schools, just a few, like one in every little town, because, you know, Chapala is one town, Ajijic is another town, San Antonio is another town. But like when we arrived here, Joaquin was in 2nd grade kinder, and I went to, you know, a private school, and they're like, oh, you know, you are a teacher, like, would you like to work here and we'll give you a discount on the tuition? And I was kind of in a setup like, you are with your school. So I did that, and like, I'm a Montessori kid, so in Montessori they're very clear about like not lying to children about like Santa Claus or the fairy, the tooth fairy, stuff like that. So, you know, in his kinder class, his teacher would tell them that, you know, there was a bunny that lived in the garden, and the bunny would get upset if the children misbehaved. So my kid is like, Mom, is there really a bunny? And I'm like, there's no bunny, but, you know, everybody has ways of using tools to try to manage a classroom. Like, I'm trying to not make the teacher sound dumb, you know? But one day I was at the school, I'm teaching my class, and I hear his teacher yelling, and I hear my kid say, "That's what my mommy said," you know? And like, I dart out of my classroom and I go into his classroom. I'm like, what is going on? And then, like, my kid's like, "I told her the bunny's not real," you know? And the teacher looked at me like, "Oh shit, I'm in trouble," you know? And I was like, and that day I quit. And that day I took my kid out of school, because you're not going to violence my child. And like, if I wasn't there, if it wasn't for the fact that I was there, like, what would have happened? You know what I mean? Like, I went in there, I picked up my child, and I left. I didn't even turn in my books. I didn't get my pay. That was the last straw, you know? And
absolutely.
Like, you know, I don't encourage like the violence that goes on, you know, between the kids, between the teachers and the children, the teachers and the other teachers, the teacher and the administration. There's just like violence going on like every which way possible, you know? And it's like, I'm not going to subject my child to that. Like, I'm sorry, you know, like, he'll have to deal with my, you know, sometimes frustrated, you know, attitude, but not this violence that does not, you know, belong to him.
I've got stories about these schools here. That's a whole other content. I got stories about our treatment at these schools here. Yeah, I've got stories. And I'm frankly fed up. You know, I tell people I'm over the super immersive experience. We've done it for 3 years. It's enough now. Yeah.
And before that, like, my kid was in very structured schools, you know, and I think it was important for him to learn that when he was little, like, to be in a school where there was a prepa, like, so he could see that there are older kids, that there are ranks and stuff like that, you know, like where you are in the world. But then there came a point where, okay, this doesn't mean that you have to be crushed by the structure. You know what I mean? And like, I'm a really like conspiracy theorist type of person and stuff, but with this whole, you know, COVID and blah, blah, it's like the truth of the matter is that, you know, only critical thinkers will be able to save the world. You know, only they're the ones who are going to survive. You know, those kids that are not used to accepting information because some authority figure gave it to them. They know how to obtain their own information. They know how to make their own decisions. They know that it's okay to question what they're being told and have a conversation about it. And that's something that just like a lot of people don't know how to do, you know, like Rakia, we had that example. Somebody gave us the instruction to do something some way, and everybody did it that way, and nobody looked back and said, you know, this is not what it says, the instructions. Like, nobody is analyzing the what and the why of why we're doing what we're doing, and that is the most important thing. You know, it's more important than, you know, socialization. Like, why do you want to socialize in some place where people are gonna teach you about sexism and you know, blah blah blah, you know? It's this is real socialization, you know, learning to have conversations, learning to listen. That's socialization for me. And my kid, he can make friends with a tree.
It's to institutionalize you, you know. It's to institutionalize you and, you know,
and we're not gonna do that, you know? It's like, if you wanna, like, my kid is all about a time machine. I'm like, boy, before you can make a time machine, you better know that math, you know? So it's like, we take their dreams and we make it something feasible and achievable right now for them.
Absolutely. Well, we're winding down. Do you have anything to add before you, I want you guys to plug your businesses, please. And go ahead, Yaya, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Well, I just wanted to really point out that, just like Ana said, there are so many great benefits to homeschooling, unschooling, worldschooling, and one of them, as she pointed out, it's that socializing that's missing. That's not happening. Being at home, you're in control of the mental health, their social health, their physical, the special circumstances that need to be furnished to your child. That honestly, in wherever we are in we may be struggling, and it's something that it's really more worth a lot more than any dream job. We have changed our life completely prior to this. We had business set up, a lot of things, but due specifically to bullying, racial indifference, and yes,
despite the fact that I may be light skinned, but the thing is, being Hispanic, wherever we may be at, it's a struggle because you're either not really Hispanic or you're not wherever you are, and discrimination is hard. It's hard for children to face and deal with, and it's something that, as Anna saw, no, that was the last straw for me. After having dealt with that, I was like, no, I am done. I cannot invest in that.
Absolutely.
But if you ladies would like to read on all our crazy adventures, or anybody else, you can read it up on the blog. That the blogs are set up on the website. It's thewhata.com, and you can also find resources and information that connects you to others that are in similar situations to homeschooling, traveling, trying to find their way, because it's not easy. Like Anna said, it's difficult, and it's an investment, and you have to find commitment and time. There's no better place for your child to be at than home, and you don't lose that. So yeah.
Than home. Anna, I want you. Thank you, Yaya. Anna, plug your contacts, please.
Well, you can go to sillertranslations.com if you are needing any legal translations of your birth certificates and your banking statements and all that stuff that you need to prepare moving. I do that stuff. I also have a group on Facebook called Families in Lake Chapala, and I co-admin another group called Families in Mexico. So these are all groups that are focused for families that are in Mexico or planning to move to Mexico. So that's where you can find me at. And I just wanted to mention in regards to like the legal aspects of homeschooling, it's something that's not prohibited in Mexico. So therefore it's allowed, but we don't have like a legislation that will say, you can revalidate your year or there's, a lot of extra steps you need to take. So sometime in the future, I might also make a blog that specifically talks about the legal implications of homeschooling.
All right. Thank you so much, Roxanne.